The Dirty 30.
Welcome to SNSN Radio live from Ledyard High School for the Ledyard Colonels and Griswold Wolverines season opener. High school football. I'm Jonathan Hardin along here with Ted Koziol.
How we doing, everybody? Good evening, John. Good evening, Southeastern Connecticut and the reaches of SNSN Radio.
Outstanding. We're here just getting started. Both teams have entered the field, getting ready for the coin toss and the opening kickoff. One thing you will notice, the Ledyard Colonels are carrying 13 American flags, and those 13 flags represent the 13 service members that were killed in Afghanistan just this past week.
So, John, this, I think, is the first official high school football game here at the newly renovated and designed Bill McNaught Field. There was a game last spring between I think it was St. Francis Academy in Baltimore and St. Thomas More here in Connecticut was the actual first football game. But if you want to call it, this is the first ECC or the first Southeastern Connecticut game here being held on the field.
No, and it's absolutely gorgeous with that turf.
Welcome to Bill McNaught.
Yeah, you can't can't beat this atmosphere now. You know, you've got high school football coming back to the region. The crowd here on the Ledyard side of the stands is actually filling in very well. It's almost like a Ledyard High School game back in the 90s when the stands used to be full, and you know, it's nice to have these Friday night lights back again.
No, absolutely. There is nothing that beats high school football. And I can tell you, this crowd is getting rowdy. We got cowbells. They're getting noisy. I think it's going to be a fun season opener here tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, you're looking at two teams, especially tonight. Nobody really knows anything about each other. You know, they haven't played football in 2 years, and you know, very few kids, I think, in both programs have a lot of solid varsity experience. So, you know, this year's seniors were sophomores last time they played. And, you know, what you're looking at is going to be a very interesting game, looking at the size of both of these teams from a numbers perspective as well as a size perspective. Griswold, I think, is obviously the far larger team from a line perspective, but Ledyard looks like they got some good numbers with skill athletes.
Right. You nailed it right there. I mean, your upperclassmen were junior classmen when we last played football, and then your underclassmen, the last time that they played tackle football, they were youth football players.
That's right. This is right. I think everybody's excited. I mean, you know, there's a good student body here, and yeah, it just feels good. I don't know any other way to say it. If you are not at a game right now and you are listening in on SNSN Radio, it feels good to be here. Feels good to listen. Just feels good to have high school football back going here in the region and in the state.
Right, and we are just moments away from the opening kickoff, and it will be the Griswold Wolverines receiving the kick. And just before we get too far into it, we do have Mike Neville operating the camera tonight. So welcome, Mike. I don't know about you, Ted, but I'm starting to get the goosebumps.
You know, I'm excited. I will be honest with you, this is the first time since 1991 that I haven't been on the sideline, either as a player or as a coach, at either the high school, youth, or college level. I'm a little disappointed, but hopefully I'm going to get my fill tonight with announcing this game and being here. I'm extremely excited. I'm very excited for all these kids, especially the Griswold kids hold a special place in my heart. And it's exciting to see these kids back out on the field doing what they love, and just their attitudes today and just their approach to the whole situation right now is it's outstanding.
Right. No, the attitude of the team, you know, I've spent some time with the Griswold team with my son being an incoming freshman. And we'll get ready here. We got the national anthem about to play.
Before we play tonight's anthem, we'd like to take a moment of silence. 20 years ago tomorrow morning, our great country was attacked. Thousands of innocent Americans in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and New York City lost their lives, and a million more were left to deal with immense pain. to honor those that perished, those police, fire and rescue, and everyday civilians that fought, and those military that continue to fight. We'd like to have a moment of silence in remembrance of the attack on our nation, September 11th, 2001. Thank you. Please remain standing for the playing of tonight's national anthem being performed by the Ledyard High School Marching Band.
Touching moment of silence here at Ledyard Stadium and the playing of the national anthem. The moment of silence was for in remembrance of what happened on September 11, 2001. Nice touch by Ledyard in hosting this with the 13 flags, the moment of silence. I know this is a big military community. Actually, when I moved back to Connecticut 19 years ago, this was the town that I originally lived in.
So, John, I'm actually a 1992 Ledyard High School graduate. Played here. I coached here with the legendary Bill Mignault back in the 90s. And, you know, I'd be remiss to say that as much as football is important, you've got kids out here that are part of the marching band. They haven't been able to do their trade either for 2 years. And, you know, there's nothing better than hearing a band play during a football game. I lived about 2 miles from here growing up. And every Saturday morning, we played 10:30 in the morning games on Saturday. You could hear the band warming up when I walked out my front door. And, you know, it just brings back a lot of good memories. So it's nice to see even the band and the cheerleaders out here doing their thing. Give a big shout out to them. You know, they've had to deal with the same things that the football players have. So one big package here tonight, John. It's all coming together for everybody.
It absolutely is, and it's good to see high school students being able to be high school students and enjoying high school football.
We got an issue on the open kickoff here. That was a squib kick down the right side of the field, picked up by Kincaid Rubino. He's wrapped up, John, inside the 10-yard line. Not the place that Griswold wants to start.
No, they're going to be deep in their own territory, 1st and 10 with their first possession, but we'll get to see how this offense performs in their first varsity game of the season.
So for those of you that can probably see online, if you're watching on YouTube, the sun is right in the face of the press box. So if we are missing some tackles and some shout outs to kids, please forgive us. But as the sun goes down, we'll certainly get better at our job.
Absolutely true.
Griswold's coming out in a double wing formation, John. This is their typical offense that they've ran for years.
Tyler Smith
and, you know, the plan, I think, today, after talking to Coach Wilcox pregame, is utilize the size of their line to help with the inexperience of their backs and their quarterback, especially starting a freshman quarterback, you know, is always a concern here at Griswold. But, you know, with the big, beefy line, once they get this together, hopefully they can just drive it down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. That initial run with Ryan Palillo right there didn't really gain us much, actually lost us a yard. But you got that meat up front, and they've got to get that push against that defensive line so that we can get some production here on offense.
So they're going to be looking to dive. They're going to be looking to go off tackle. And, you know, when they run the double wing, the line sets up tracks for them to run. That was off tackle to the left side. The previous play was off tackle to the right. That right now they're not getting that surge at the line of scrimmage. You've got for Ledyard, big number 79, Joshua Knight, senior from Ledyard, playing what is basically in the A gap on defense, and there's another big kid down there too, number 71, Marlon Santaga, another senior.
Right, so two big seniors for Ledyard right there on the middle of the defensive line.
There's a fumble on the play there. It was recovered by Barboza, by Isaiah Heikala, Griswold's, one of Griswold's guards.
They'll bring up 4th down and 13.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things. Like, you go back to what you were saying earlier. It's been 29 years since I've been on a football field as a player. But when I did play, I was on the offensive line. So there's a soft spot in my heart for those big guys down in the trenches. And I tend to focus down there and see what type of work they're doing.
They're going to have their work cut out for them today. Ledyard's running a 5-man front on defense, it seemed. Hard to see in the sun, but now they're going to get a punt off. And punting into the wind, unfortunately, is a tough situation. But
bounce straight up.
Ball is down, number 9.
Punted down to about the 29-yard line of Griswold. So, of course, young team, young punter, young everything. Probably right around, what do you think, like a 20-yard forward punt progress?
Just about a 20-yard, if that is maybe not 19, because Ledyard's going to have fantastic field possession at the 29-yard line of Griswold.
So you're going to notice they've got a sophomore quarterback, transfer student from Norwich, one of the Outlaw brothers, and his other brother is in the backfield.
So the Outlaw connection. There's a ball loose.
It's a big dive up the middle for about 12 yards. So you've got Justin Outlaw, who's
on the carry.
The sophomore quarterback.
On the play. Good for a Colonels.
And you've got number 21, Ryan Outlaw, who is the up back in the backfield that just dove for about 12 yards. They are brothers of Marcus Outlaw, who is a outstanding football player at Ledyard High School. That was number 7, James Green for Ledyard, on a toss sweep to the right.
Right, James Green around to the outside on the far side gets the first touchdown of the game, and it is for Ledyard with 9:33 left in the first quarter.
Griswold senior Zach Confer playing a defensive end there, kind of got caught inside a little bit and didn't have the right angle to try to get the sweep. He did try to recover a little bit, but the speed there of James Green around the corner, little too much on that play. And, you got to think about this, too. First series for these kids on offense and defense in 2 years. Get their feet wet and, start to see where things at and realize they're going to have to pick up the intensity.
They are, and it's one of the things they're going to have to make their reads, hopefully with the ends not getting sucked in, because James Green, when he got to the outside and was able to turn on the jets, he was straight into the end zone. The extra point was not good, so your score, Ledyard Colonels 6, Griswold Wolverines 0. But yeah, Ted, going back, looking at both rosters, we've got relatively young teams. Both teams have underclassmen as their starting quarterbacks. Is that going to play a factor in the game as we go further in?
I think it will. You've got, at least from Griswold's perspective, with the 2 freshman quarterback, you figure they haven't played organized football since 7th grade. And, you're stepping either in from juniors at the youth level right to varsity football. That's a big jump. The coaches on both sides of the field are certainly preparing the kids for this opportunity in this situation. And even Ledyard's quarterback, who was a sophomore. He was in 8th grade, and his last actual game experience was in youth. So I'm sure their brother Marcus has been working with both of them, and you're gonna see some inexperience come into play. If Ledyard steps out to a big lead here, then obviously the Ledyard quarterback will be in a much more comfortable situation. But we'll see what happens. That was Kincaid Rubino on the return for Griswold. Nice return, taking the ball up to right around the 30-yard line.
Right, so this start for Griswold is going to be a little bit better than their first possession. It'll be 1st and 10 Griswold from the 30-yard line.
So for those of you out there, one thing you may not notice, you've got senior captain Tyler Farwell, who aggravated an injury during pregame. He is not on the field on either side of the ball at this time, but that's going to play a key part here today too. Not having him on either side of the ball, and he goes by Tank. Tank has been solid for Griswold, even as a freshman. Coming up through the program, and you lose that senior leader, and he's another solid running back. He's a hard-hitting, bruising kid. But Ryan Palillo, who just carried the ball, he's got some speed. He's a shifty little kid, and he's going to certainly try to step up and fill that void.
Right, Ryan Palillo on that carry tried to take it to the outside, and then you've got James Green doing it both offense and defense on the tackle for no gain. 2nd and 10 Griswold.
So what's happening is you've got a little bit of a deer in headlight situation here, where looked like Luke was getting ready to roll out, and it seemed as if you might have missed a pulling guard on this side, coming to this side of your field. So if you're looking at the camera to Griswold's offensive right, you should have had a weak side guard coming to pick up the blitz on that side, and there was nobody there. And unfortunately, Luke Cassidy wasn't ready for it, but
tackled in the backfield for a 6-yard loss. 3rd and 16.
He just took his first varsity lick officially. So let's see, once everybody starts to bang around a little bit, get the nerves out, get the cobwebs going.
Right, there's nothing like that first hit. They're going to clear out the butterflies, clear out the bugs, and now we got some football going on.
That was another B week off tackle play that was stuffed by number 33, I believe, from Ledyard, Wyatt Crawford. Griswold's got 4th and very long, about 17, 18 yards to go. Punting situation here again.
So Griswold punting for the second time, still waiting to try to get something done offensively. It looks like there may have been a hand in on that punt.
And you don't have much coverage on that side of the field. So the ball was stopped dead, which I don't understand why.
Recovered by Jacob Lenz on
there was
the 40-yard
no
line.
knee. There was no
Colonels.
knee down.
No, number 8.
And he
Jacob
had a clear
Lenz,
shot
right.
to the sidelines, and the ball was blown dead. Not sure why.
No, Lenz picked up the ball off the punt and started to move it forward, but the referee did blow the ball dead, and it'll be 1st and 10 Ledyard from the Griswold 40-yard line.
Again, you said, there was a quick flare screen out in the flat to Jacob Lenz, and a great lead pickup block by James Green coming out of the left slot. You said James Green, we've called his name already, as a runner, and right there he set up a really nice block up against the Griswold secondary to break that play loose a little bit. And Here he goes on a toss sweep again.
To the right side. He's still on his feet. Finally brought down by Kincaid Rubino, but not before Ledyard picks up a first down.
One thing I'm noticing from up here, John, is on defense, Griswold, too much standing around. You just saw about 2 kids just get knocked on their butt, standing around, not pursuing the play. And you can't spectate here in this sport, especially here in Ledyard.
No, you got to move, and you got to play till the whistle's blown. That play is not over till the whistle blows.
Ryan Outlaw on the carry.
That was Ryan Outlaw with the carry. You also have number 50, Zach Confer, and Isaiah Heikela in on the stop.
Number 54, Isaiah Heikela in on the tackle for Griswold. Second down and 5.
One thing that Coach Wilcox is going to be stressing here, I think, on defense is tackling low. Everyone's tackling up high. These running backs are too fast and too shifty and too powerful to tackle like that. They're going to have to get low and wrap up. You're not going to stop them unless you take their legs out.
No, absolutely. You're going to have to get down, explode through the back. Touchdown, Ledyard, number 11, Jackson Poultar. So there's Ledyard again with a touchdown going around to the outside and bringing it right into the end zone. Ted, are we going to have to see some adjustments by the Griswold defense?
Yeah, we're going to have to. A couple things are going to have to happen here. What's happening is, I know talking pregame, Coach was worried about the middle, the dives, the off tackle, and the power plays. He felt that he'd have the outside covered okay. They've scored both touchdowns on toss sweeps, one to the left, one to the right. You've got cornerbacks that are playing catch for their blocker. They need to step up and shuck that blocker and go after the ball carrier. On this side of the field, you had a defensive back and a safety kind of backpedaling for the play instead of coming up on it. And that's just, it's not going to work that way. So that's one adjustment that is definitely going to have to happen.
On the carry, tackle out of bounds.
Right, and Ledyard trying to catch up with the missed extra point on the first touchdown, trying to get the 2 points here. Justin Outlaw to the outside. He is stopped short. So your score with 5:34 left in the first quarter. Ledyard 12, Griswold 0. Yeah, no, I was going back to what we were saying before the national anthem. The attitude of Griswold was positive. There was a lot of film study this week, some extra long practices because of that. But like you're saying, they were not able to shut down those tosses to the outside.
And it's tough to prepare for a team that you've really never seen. Ledyard has a brand new coach here. He's a Springfield College guy, and he's young. He brings a different type of game, different type of offense, different type of attitude. Griswold really needs to. They need to start being aggressive. This is something that we've seen, or even over the last few years with Griswold, coming out flat for some games and then kind of waking up sometimes too late. But one of the things they're going to have to do. It's 12-0. They've missed both extra points. Griswold has a kicker here that was working, and those extra points could come back to bite them that they're not making. But again, they have to sustain and start to move the ball. They need to get their defense off the field and just start to get things moving. But perfect example right there, Kincaid's running by himself on kickoff return. And you've got kids coming down the field from Ledyard untouched and making tackles.
Right. No, absolutely. There's no lead blocking up there. So he's getting the ball, trying to move it forward, and he's just meeting Ledyard Colonels in front of him.
And you got to remember, and John, we're going to refer to this a lot probably during the season. Griswold is a young team. You've got even the kids that are older, upperclassmen, haven't played a lot of varsity time. The kids that you have that are sophomores and freshmen, that very few schools have sophomores and freshmen starting varsity football. Griswold, fortunately, for a lot of kids, they get to play early, and you get 4 years of varsity football in, but it's tough when you're playing against kids that have played varsity football for 4 years.
Right, absolutely. Growing up in Texas where I played, freshmen, even sophomores playing at the varsity level is virtually unheard of.
Yep, absolutely. Griswold had some four-year starters here that graduated, in 2020 come through. And, one thing that I was talking to Coach Wilcox about before was that leader at middle linebacker. So, you had Mike Sims for 3.5 years, basically 4 years at Griswold on the varsity side at linebacker. And having a mind that can play linebacker helps the rest of the team, especially the defensive front. You had Matt DePonte that also played in the middle. You had two highly intelligent kids, but highly intelligent football players. And it's tough to replace that. And that's where Griswold's going to struggle a little bit right now. And honestly, I think what's going to have to happen here, maybe not on this play, but I think you're going to have to get Luke Cassidy to drop back, straight back, and attempt some sort of passing game to loosen things up. Ledyard's got 10 guys up in the box with a safety, and they're just going to keep bringing it until they change it up. And based upon what we're seeing so far, John, Ledyard's got some speed. So I don't think they need to be too concerned about the breakaway play here. They need to be, if for some reason Griswold can get by him, they may not bust it. You got Kincaid Rubino, who we know is fast, and so is Ryan Palillo, but they've got to be able to move the ball. I think, so far each drive has been negative yards.
Right, we have no positive yardage yet on 2 possessions. Well, this is our 3rd possession, and we're already 3rd and 15. And before we get any farther, I just want to let all of y'all know that Ted and I are broadcasting from the Griswold Pride broadcast booth. You can visit Griswold Pride at griswoldpride.org. But no, like you're saying, senior leadership, especially at that linebacker level, who can put some of those defensive line, put those shifts in, plug up some of those holes. He's going to see something on the offense and make those adjustments there. That's something that's going to have to be developed. And without time on the field, it's hard to do that.
And that's where Tyler Farwell also comes into play. Not having that, him standing on the sideline. I will tell you, Griswold line is very big. And maybe they need a little bit of game experience to get things back together. But you've got 3 linemen that have varsity experience out there. You've got John Dugan, who's on the D-line, but you've got Danny Sims, and you've got Zach Confer, who they have varsity experience. They were starters, 2 years ago. You had a little bit of a positive gain there. I think that was about a 5-yard, 4-yard pickup, give or take.
About 4-yard pickup on that one, which is good to see. But one of the things, talking about the line when that play fired off, one of the things you could see right at the line of scrimmage is that the Griswold offensive linemen were getting stood up by the Ledyard defensive linemen. They've also got to get low and get on their blocks and drive those feet.
Yeah, and then everybody, they look a little confused right now. And, understandably so, but there's a much better punt that time into the wind. Let's see what happens here.
Started to go the right direction, but down. And Ledyard, they're starting further and further back, which I guess is the positive sign. Unfortunately, Griswold's had 3 possessions, 3 punts. But it'll be 1st down and 10 Ledyard from the Griswold. What is that, 46-yard line?
It's about the 46-yard line into this beaming sun here at Ledyard High School.
And it is right now. It was actually a little bit better a couple of minutes ago. Now it is like the absolute worst spot.
It is just at about eye level here. But I will say it's not humid. It's actually a nice night out for some football. The other thing, too, you remember these officials that we have out here, they're 2 years out of the game, too. They've done a couple, maybe prep or college games, but for the most part, they're excited to be back out here as well. That was number 17 from Ledyard on the carry. Roman Streckfus, that was brought down on an ankle trip-up by Griswold's number 77, John Dugan, coming out of the defensive line.
In on the tackle for Griswold.
Right, there's the senior that you were just talking about a few moments ago.
8 on the play.
So we've got to get that senior leadership up. It looks like we do have an official timeout with an injury on the field. I don't see a number.
I couldn't see who that was. I know Isaiah Heikkila was in on the play. I'm not sure if that's him. That looks like that's number 5 from Griswold.
That's number
Ryan
5.
Palillo.
Right.
Ryan's up quick.
Walking off on his own power.
Another tough Griswold kid. For those of you that don't know, I stepped down from coaching this year. I've got a daughter who's a junior, and my son is a sophomore playing college football. And that was the biggest reason that I did step down this year. And I will tell you, 2 years ago, a lot of the kids wanted Ryan Palillo to be a captain. He's a great kid. He's a good leader. He's just a polite young man. And again, I'm sure it's killing him now to be sitting over there, but he'll be back out. But, he's one of the kids that they need on this field on both sides of the ball. To spark this team up and get themselves going.
Yeah, we need to see some fire out there. I can tell you, at least on this Ledyard side where the broadcast booth is, they're definitely fired up. We got cowbells going. We got hooting and hollering going on.
So they're getting outside with their toss sweeps on Griswold's big defensive line, and they're coming inside the defensive end. And what's happening is you don't have an outside linebacker filling. You don't have a cornerback coming up to fill. And basically they can just keep swinging the pendulum here, left, right, and it's going to cause a problem. Ledyard's getting some good lead blocking out of their back, without a doubt. And here he is right here out low. I mean, just the size of this kid as a junior in high school. He's a powerful kid. You cannot tackle him above the waist. You've got to come in and hit him at the knees. And he just ran 2 kids over to try to get up top. You had number 2 from Griswold that came up. Again, I think that's Kyle Montigny. And, he came in low, but, he's twice his size, He's Outlaw's just a powerful kid. That's going to be a false start on Ledyard here.
Right, that's going to be the first penalty of the game.
Looks like their right tackle decided to leave the play a little bit early.
False start on the Colonels. 5-yard penalty.
That'll drive the offensive line coach nuts right there. But that'll move Ledyard back. It'll be 1st and 15 from the Griswold 19. So Ledyard's threatening again.
And you can see Ledyard's line, they're not very big, but I will tell you, they are playing very sound against Griswold's defensive line.
A very fundamental line.
I think you got another flag down on the field. This is in the area of some sort of offensive penalty.
Right, definitely in the backfield. And once again, they went right off tackle. They went in between the tackle and the end.
Yep, you get an illegal shift against Ledyard. It's going to be on this side of the field. Probably have a running back in motion and someone moving at the same time. Could be false start, but it was an illegal shift in this case.
Right. In the opinion of the referees, illegal shift.
5-yard penalty, replay, first down, 1st and 20.
So at least Ledyard's going backwards, but it's by their own accord. It's not the Griswold defense forcing them back. There's a run up the middle.
So what they're running here is some sort of it's almost like a modified or a revised triple option where you've got 3 eligible runners. You've got a dive option to the fullback where the quarterback is trying to read the defensive end in this case in Ledyard's scheme. You've got a wing who can also get a pitch, and you have the quarterback that can run. So, I mean, they have 3 things, and a lot of what the quarterback does is the quarterback is making decisions not only at the line of scrimmage, but after the snap is made.
Right, reading those keys, and there's the quarterback keeping them.
Well, with the fumble on the play. Picked up and recovered by Ledyard, and that could actually be something that Griswold needs right now. Number 77 for Griswold, Jon Dugan. Just came and just absolutely smashed Outlaw.
John Duggan.
And hopefully, once somebody does something, it gets contagious. That's exactly what I think Griswold needed. You had a nice strip on that. The Outlaw boy was running with the ball in his hand instead of tucking it away. It looked like he was trying to either throw or run, and it was knocked out. Fortunately, it was recovered by Ledyard, but Ledyard does have the ball back, 3rd and 12.
Oh, there's another flag on
another false start penalty on Ledyard. And again, this comes down to timing, John. You've had limited practice time, really, if you think about it, over the last 2 years. And you've got a new coach putting in a new offense, a lot of timing that needs to happen. So you're going to see these types of mistakes early. It's going to happen. I will be honest with you. I am shocked at Griswold's play right now. Just from a physical standpoint, they are much bigger, and they just look like they should just be dominating this line of scrimmage. But Ledyard's lines, they're smaller, but they're just shifty.
Shifty is a good way to word it. And there's the end of the first quarter. After 1 quarter of play, your score, Ledyard 12, Griswold 0.
Second quarter coming up.
So, Ted, that's a question that I have, with the new coach and the new offense, and the lack of play that we've been able to have over the last couple of years, is it really smart to have that much of a timed offense?
Yeah, and you've got to figure you're a new coach coming in, and you come in with a system in mind. Just like when Coach Mignol stepped down, Ledyard ran the wing team powered, Delaware wing team powered down your throat. We'll tell you exactly what we're going to run. You just have to stop us. And that was the philosophy here. It didn't matter what we ran. It didn't matter who knew what was coming. You physically had to stop us. And Ledyard was such a dominating force. Jim Bunacore came in, and he ran his style of offense. You had Clay Killingsworth that came up here. He ran his style of offense. You had Farnsworth. So everybody comes in with a different style. So to your point, yes, I mean, it's a challenge from a timing perspective. But if that's what you're going to go with, that's what you got to work on, and that's all they've been working on. So, I mean, it's just small little bugs that they'll work out. But, it's hard as a coach to take over someone else's scheme because you'll have timing issues there as well. But for some reason, Ledyard's having a hard time kind of either from a cadence perspective or just from a motion perspective getting a playoff. They've had, four false starts or illegal shift penalties so far?
Right. Now, is some of that due to this being the first game of the season? There's a toss to number 11 for Ledyard. Jackson Holton.
Another good wrap-up tackle there by number 38 from Griswold.
Short gain on
Liam
the play.
Gervais.
It's going to be Liam Gervais.
4th down and 15 for the Colonels.
We got a score update. You've got East Lyme is up on Montville 7-6 right now. That would be in the first quarter, I would assume, maybe even the second quarter by this point. A close friend of mine is the defensive coordinator at East Lyme High School. I asked him to send some updates when he gets a chance. So
there you go. So you heard it here first on SNSN Radio.
Are you going to have a hold right here? Yep, that touchdown is going to come back. You're going to have a hold against Ledyard.
The pass was complete just inside the one, but like you said, there was a flag on a hold on Ledyard, and that's coming back.
Yeah, Liam Gervais got tackled on that play. Not even a question. Kevin Albanese, who is the umpire, it was literally 5 yards in front of him. So you're going to have a 10-yard penalty back here from the spot. So you're looking at Ledyard probably taking the ball back on 3rd down from about their 38-yard line.
Now can Griswold get their first defensive hold?
A stop here would be great. I would assume
holding penalty on
Griswold's going to be, or Ledyard's going to be in 4-down territory, even though they're on the 38-yard line. They do have to get to the 2-yard line. I just can't imagine with the way that they're powering them right now that they're not going to try some other pass from here, maybe even 2 passes in a row. You really have nothing to lose. I mean, if I was Ledyard's coach, I'd be pretty confident right now that, even if I can't get a first down, that I would be able to stop Griswold right now on offense. So I would be airing it out here to one of my athletes.
Yeah, and it shows you 2 things. If you're Ledyard, it shows you your pass attack, and it also gives you a little insight into Griswold's pass defense. And there's a pass to number 11 down the outside line. Cut back to the middle. He's inside the 5. There's another Ledyard touchdown. Number 11, Jackson Holton.
So, the best part about that play, unfortunately for Griswold, that was a fantastic one-handed catch by Jackson Holton, almost going out of bounds, tiptoeing to stay in bounds, making 2 or 3 cuts back into the middle of the field for the score. And, I'll go back again. I mean, I'm confident enough to make that play call as Ledyard's coach. I got nothing to lose. So,
right, guys. If you miss it, you're still at 12. With Holton's catch, he had that one arm, brought it back in, just like you said. Had to make those adjustments and then cut back to the middle. And now you're sitting 18-0.
So it looked last night like Gronkowski coming out of the flat yesterday against the Cowboys late in the game with a one-armed catch. or a one-handed catch.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about last night's game, but it does tell you the importance of special teams.
I assume you're a Cowboys fan.
I am,
Jon.
born and bred.
I actually was at the game last night. Flew back in this morning and actually this afternoon. And it was just again, great game last night. Great atmosphere. Unfortunately for you Cowboys fans, the GOAT did his thing again.
Right, and Ledyard in for the 2-point conversion. Yeah. So wow, we're just like what? A minute 11 into the second quarter. Your score, Ledyard 20, Griswold 0.
So, there's I think there's it's been a while since I've been involved in a game like this, but there is some score control measures in play at the high school level. They did away with the 50-point rule a few years back, but there is some score control measures where the clock will start to run at some point when the score hits a certain point.
Right, the continuous run.
I'm kind of hoping what we can see here is another solid return from Griswold. Try to give himself some field position and get this front line blocking, and maybe get him a little something positive, some positive energy, some sort of positive yardage going on.
Well, that's one thing that Griswold's definitely going to have happen. They've got to get something positive on their side and get that momentum shift. And also, you're sitting next to somebody, Mike Neville, the cameraman, on this possession change. Let's get Mike in here with a little bit of his take on what he's seeing.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll have to get Mike. He's without his headset, but I'll give him the mic here, and he can shed some insight on what he's seeing so far. Mike.
It's been an interesting game to say the least. It's only the second quarter that we're going into right now, but there's a lot of holes that the Wolverines got to fill. Their offense hasn't been that good. They've been going with the run game. I don't think we've seen the ball there.
Kyle Montigny on the return.
Still a little shaky. A little bit of a scrap going on right there right now. Frustration boiling over a little bit for the Wolverines. But yet again, these guys haven't played the game in well over a year. For their quarterback right now, this is his first high school game ever. So we'll see what's going to happen in practice, but who knows what's going to happen the rest of the season. But it's only the first game. Anything can happen.
Good point. It's a good point. The little scrum that Mike was referring to, you got two teams here, two scrappy teams. I'm sure Griswold's a little frustrated with their play so far. And, growing up in Ledyard, I can tell you, you're also down here in the country, so there's some tough kids on both sides of the ball. Everybody just needs to keep their calm, keep their cool, and again, Jon, I can't reiterate enough. We need to see something positive here out of Griswold. Being down 20-0 here to start the second quarter. I'm sure this isn't something that Coach Wilcox and his staff are happy about, but we got to start to try to focus on some positives here and try to make some positive gains and grow from there.
We do, and with Griswold starting from their own 37, that's pretty good field position. And now we'll take a play out of Ledyard's playbook.
Little toss sweep left there for a gain of 5.
Kyle Montague
on that pickup. He was also the one that brought back the kick return. And to go back to that kick return and a little bit of scrum, nobody wants to see any unsportsmanlike conduct. Everybody's got to keep their cool. But the one thing, Griswold's still showing some fight. They got some heart out there.
They do. There's no doubt. And I will tell you one thing that I've learned with Andrew coming to his program. Nobody on this team is going to quit. No coach is going to quit on the kids. Nobody is going to quit. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be – you're going to see an encroachment penalty on the defense. One of two reasons. One, the defense was certainly over, which forced the offensive tackle to jump. But you're also looking at a 20-0 game here. The officials recognize anything that's questionable of who was it. On one of those, it's going to go in favor of the team that's really getting beat. But in that case, that certainly was the absolute correct call. It's actually, Jon, right at our level. We're right in front of the play as we speak right now in the Griswold Pride booth doing the announcing. So that gives Griswold actually their first down of the game.
First down at the game, and that puts them at the 47-yard line, 1st and 10.
Again, we'll take it. It's positive. You had a nice run by Kyle there, and positive gains. Same play again. Big stick coming up by number 33 from Ledyard. Wyatt Crawford. His dad, John, is actually the junior coach at Ledyard in the youth program. So Wyatt has been taught the game of football his whole life. And he came from the linebacker spot and then just filled that play.
Yeah, came in and he was a wall.
Put a big stick on him.
So that'll bring up 2nd down and 10 Griswold from their own 47-yard line. But we are starting to see some positive yardage from the Griswold offense.
Yep. They're trying to go behind Big Danny Sims. And Danny's not going to be able to take everybody by themselves. But I think you have another situation where you might have a false start on this one potentially.
That's going to be
like the Griswold right tackle did jump out. Yep.
False start. Wolverines. The 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Danny just seems to be growing even more. I mean, I saw him in pregame, and he's a monster. And you've got AJ Hamill on the other side, who's also a monster.
Oh, he's a big boy.
The two of them playing guard, or they play tackles. I mean, that is just, it's a lot of beef.
They are, and they were pulling along to the outside.
Yeah, so that was an inside trap play.
Ryan Palillo on the carry.
Tough to get that play, positive yardage when you get a defensive line surge. It's okay to surge where you're trapping, but they had to surge across the line of scrimmage, and that's just going to be a challenge to get anything done. Cassidy actually was lucky that he got that handoff to the running back there. But, maybe we're going to see a pass play here out of Griswold. Who knows? Roll him out to his natural right and see what he's got.
Right. It's like you're going to run the play till they can prove they can stop it. But on the other side of the coin, if what you have been using hasn't been working, try something else.
So you got almost like a full house backfield here. So looks like Coach Wilcox was going to employ a two back lead situation here, but Ledyard signaling that there was some sort of fumble on the play.
Right, there was a fumble on the play. Able to make it back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th down and 10 Griswold from there, 40-yard line.
Yeah, we're looking at a little bit longer, John. 4th and 17. They had the negative loss there on the previous play.
Oh yeah, there's a bar in front of me.
Yeah, it's very hard to see with the sun, though. I will tell you that much. I'm sitting in the bottom of the Pride booth here.
Oh my God!
Oh, there we go with a decent punt.
See, you've got all your linemen downfield here, nobody covering, and this is going to go all the way. This is gone. There's no doubt.
That's Jacob Lindsay on the sideline.
Griswold had a much better punt that time, and they had all of their linemen downfield covering the punt. But the speed of Ledyard he just got to the outside and took it all the way down.
66-yard
and you had nobody beyond the 30-yard line to make a tackle there.
No, I mean, once you called it, Ted. Once he cut to the outside, you called him gone. That was a 66-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That brings the score up to 26 for Ledyard. Here with 6:47 left in the second quarter. So from a special teams perspective, on the kickoff team or the punt team, you've got certain assignments and certain lanes that you're responsible for. What was the breakdown there?
So Griswold actually got a nice kickoff,
and the
punt off on that play, and you had your line coming down, but the problem coming. It seemed as if everybody's angles were really off. Once coverage broke, once the punt broke to the outside, you've got to cut your angles back and pursue. and you didn't have that. And you had backs that were on the back sides of the play. So as soon as he hit here, right in front of me at the 40-yard line, 35-yard line, you could see that all the potential tacklers were already behind the play, and they were actually in the middle of the field. And honestly, Ledyard had great punt coverage on that. They had a wall set up, and I'm assuming that was probably some sort of designed wall right return, because of the way they were set up, almost along the hash or inside the hash, between the hash and the numbers, to put some sort of return there.
Right, and once again, Ledyard with the 2-point conversion successful, so they have brought the score back up to Ledyard 28, Griswold 0. So they've made up for the missed extra points.
Yeah, you have a quick score update, 14-6 East Line right now currently.
14-6. Do you know period?
Yeah, they're in the second quarter.
Second quarter. So once again, Griswold has an opportunity to show their offense. We've got to see something. We haven't been to Ledyard's side of the field yet.
Almost. I think hopefully we can bust one here. Back again now. We got to Kyle. Yeah, you've got just an aggressive pursuit. Kyle's going at it. I mean, he's trying. There's no doubt.
By Jackson Polton.
I'll give it to anybody, John, that's returning kicks and punts these days. You've got 11 guys chasing you down full speed, and you're trying to find a hole. I think anybody that's a kick returner, punt returner, has to have a couple screws missing upstairs.
They definitely do, because like you said, there's 11 guys zeroing on you with only one thought in mind.
And the odds of you breaking one and not getting tackled are slim. It happens, you're going to get creamed more than you're not. So
Griswold was first down and 10 from their own 29. It does look like we had a pickup of 2, second down and 8.
So one of the things.
Timeout.
Yeah,
carry. Josh
call the timeout. One of the things Coach Wilcox is going to do here. He's got a long season in front of him. He wants to make sure he protects his freshman quarterbacks. And, you got to not just protect them physically, you got to protect them mentally. You don't want them to get frustrated and, start to get too down on themselves. Slow the game down, gain positives, work on positives as you go. Like I said before, they're going to continue to coach these kids up no matter what. They don't care what the score is. I mean, I still remember the 92-0 thrashing that New London gave Griswold. Got to be about at least 10 years ago, and they were still coaching. They're not going to stop.
No, it never stops, and that's one of the things I think a lot of people that may not have played the game don't understand is that there's a mental aspect to this, and there's also the character building part of playing sports, and there's something special about football.
And you learn from your losses more than you learn from your wins. Like Ledyard, they could watch film on this game and say, "Oh wow, look what we're doing, great," but this can't give them a sense of overconfidence either, because they're playing against a young team, and they're both young teams, but you can't get yourself overconfident going forward and then just think you can walk into a game and do whatever you want and run people over. Just like Griswold can't just assume that every team they face is going to do this to them, because it's not. This is not going to happen. I mean, they're going to move the ball. They're going to get the experience, and they're going to get some drive.
Oh, absolutely. And then Griswold can kind of use this to their advantage moving forward, because if they are going against an opponent that may be a little bit overconfident, use that against them. Use some of that bulletin board, put that up there, put that fire in your team to come out there and say, okay, we'll show you.
Griswold on the carry for a short
Turner. It was Josh Turner, number 11 for
third
Griswold.
down and 6.
With a quick dive play.
Right, for more positive yardage. It's third down and 6, Griswold.
One of the things that Griswold should be able to do is wedge. And basically what that wedge is everyone steps down and forward, and you just drive the pile. With the beef that they have, they should be angry, upset, and now Ledyard's bringing the house here. So
And they penetrate.
And that's, this is the situation where you do have young quarterbacks, and if they can take a gamble that 28-0, they're gonna send the house
on the carry
and keep their speedster back just in case a play gets busted.
4th and 7.
Here's a situation now where if you are Griswold, you want to try to control the score. I mean, believe me, football is a very long game. There's still more than half the game left. And, one team can put up 28, so can another team that quickly. I think you want to punt the ball towards the sidelines and almost get it out of bounds so there is no return in this situation here.
Right, and it looks exactly like what they're trying to do.
Unfortunately, he's back to the middle of the field again. Now you got a little bit better coverage.
Going back to the outside. Cutting back to the middle. Into Griswold territory, brought down by Kyle Monty.
There is a flag on the play.
But there is a flag on the field.
Yeah, you're gonna. Does it look like somebody's down on the field? Looks like, is there a player down? Yeah, I can't see from where I'm sitting, John, if this is a Griswold kid or a Ledyard kid. It's right in front. It's a Griswold
kid. That is a Griswold
kid. Kyle. Yeah, Kyle Montague. It looks like it might have been a late hit at him. That did come up after the play.
Right, and he was the one that finally brought him down.
He's holding on to the back of his knee, so he's nothing neck or back, in case family is listening. Looks like he might have just took a helmet or a shoulder to the knee, the back side of it.
Yeah. The trainer tended to him now. There's definitely a grimace to where she was.
Fans, Ledyard will be on the road next week. However, their next home game has been relocated a different day. They'll be on 9/25
but hopefully
against
it's nothing
Waterford.
serious.
Game was originally scheduled for Friday night, has been moved to Saturday morning, September 25th. Game time is at 11 a.m. against the Waterford Lancers.
But to go back to the coaching, and that the coaching never stops and the opportunities never stop, and that you had said that you learn probably more from your losses than you do your wins. I can tell you from personal experience, I had a coach in high school who was actually my freshman coach and my JV coach. And then later on in life, when I was actually active duty in the Navy, he sent me a letter completely out of the blue. Wasn't expecting that, but he was, telling me about, stuff that he saw in me as a player when I played for him, and that he wished me the best. And, that was kind of touching to hear from a coach that many years later.
Yep. And, coaches don't forget, right? You may forget the kids' names over time, but coaches don't forget. There's a couple kids here on Ledyard's team that I actually coached during American Legion baseball this summer. And, they came up and said hi, and I remember their names, fortunately, because it was only a few months ago. But, it's I actually coached at Ledyard High School here, football and track, for over 20 years. And I still see kids left and right. Billy Glennie, who's the announcer right now, if you can hear him in the background, he was actually one of the first classes that I coached when I was here at Ledyard High School. And, we established a really good friendship, now as grown adults. And you're gonna have this touchdown's coming back. You're gonna get a hold here. Happened right in front of the umpire, Bruce Warfield.
And that is exactly the call on the field. Holding on the offense. That touchdown's coming back.
If you had the replay, you'd see the Griswold kid got spun around. I think it was number 54. He got turned right around, almost like he was do-si-doing your partner with
10 yards from the spot.
For those of you that might know Dick Pillar and the polka celebration there at Ocean Beach.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah,
replay first down.
He got spun right around. Clearly, that was the reason that the hole was there. I think you're going to see him come right back to almost something very similar. And here it is again.
That's exactly what you got. Griswold was ready.
Ryan
Number
Allo
77, John Dugan in on the tackle.
Gain of 3 on the play.
Pick up a 3, but it will be second down and 12. From the Griswold 30-yard line. That sun's almost behind the trees.
Almost behind the trees and behind the school.
Toss to the right, going back to where they had at the beginning of the game. There was a nice open field tackle.
That was Ryan Palillo wrapping up Roman Strekvis
on the carry. Tackled on the play by number 5, Ryan Palillo. Gain of 2 on the
what
play.
Ledger's trying to do here is they're trying to open things up a little bit and utilize the sideline to sideline. Griswold's imploring more of a staying within the tackles, trying to run where their strength is, where Ledyard is utilizing their speed and getting outside their tackles. And it seems to be working very well for them so far. And granted, some of the dive plays are working as well, but most of what they're doing is coming from outside here.
They have, and they've been successful from the outside. But here with a 28-point lead, do you think there's some experimentation on the Ledyard side? And there's a tackle for a loss.
I would say you're right. I mean, there's probably some things that they want to see what they can do against another team.
Loss of 3 on the play.
My theory behind all this has been, football is football, and this is an opportunity to get some things in and work some things. And if they decide they're going to start to throw the ball, it really wouldn't necessarily bother me as a coach. I mean, if it's 50-0. That's one thing, but you're looking at 4th and long now. I can't imagine that they're not going to go to the air here.
Right, and it's 4th and long because of that tackle behind the line by Josh Turner. And there's an incomplete pass. We've got a turnover on down.
Yeah, some positive play there. It looked like that was 38, Liam Gervais with a big stick on the quarterback.
Over on downs.
So looking for those positive things. Now let's see. Let's capitalize on that and see what the Griswold offense can do.
And one of the things you had here going is in certain offenses you have quarterbacks going against going against the grain, right? So, a right-handed quarterback wants to roll out right. It's very hard for a right-handed quarterback to roll out left, square up to the line of scrimmage to throw the ball. That was a situation where the quarterback was trying to get himself square to a guy in the flat, and he couldn't get himself turned around before Liam hit him. And the sun has finally gone down behind the trees. You can see the field.
Right. No more haze coming across the roof.
This is a dive play right there to Ryan Palillo, who's wrapped up in the backfield.
Andrew Harris
just as soon as he got the handoff, there was already 2 Colonels back there to make the tackle.
Loss of 3 on the play.
So really, like you've said, we've mentioned several times already this game that there's, the Griswold offensive line is a big offensive line. There is definitely some size up front. But what we're seeing tonight is very reminiscent of what we saw in the scrimmage against East Line.
Yeah, and I unfortunately wasn't there, but this is something that I heard, and I can tell you a lot of what's going on. It's not a man-on-man situation here. So you've got, linemen stunting left, stunting right, and, a lot of things need to happen. Even here you had Danny Sims that just cut one of the D linemen. Great cut block. But then you get the linebackers filling in. Number 14, Jonah Eddy, filled right in, right where Danny Sims vacated. You've got to have a back has got to come up and plug that hole. And that's not happening. So, while we're saying the line, this is it's a full team effort no matter what you do, right? You win as a team, you lose as a team. It's a unit of 11. They just have some things they need to figure out. Bottom line, they've got to execute, and they're dealing with a loaded box here. I mean, Ledyard's got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage right now, and they're sending on the edges. And again, this is where
James Green
you've got the quarterback rolling out against the green, and no one picking him up. So they're stunted. They stunted there on the weak side corner. Liam Cassie's got nowhere to go.
No, James Green was coming in there unabated.
Yeah, Liam Gervais came out and picked up the D end, but nobody was there to pick up the corner. And in theory, that should be a backside, some sort of backside lineman coming to pick that stunt up. Unfortunately, that was not there. And you got to remember too, it's varsity football is a much quicker game. So I'm hoping what happens with Griswold that Coach Wilcox tells them that they need to, step it up a notch. And, they're going to play defense to start the second half, but they're going to step it up a notch and still keep trying to find some positives. The timeout here, I get what the coach is trying to do. He's new to this league, and he'll find out soon enough what goes around comes around. But, this is a situation where you're up 28-0. You know that you've got this. I would have to say you've got this covered at this point. Just let the clock run out. But again, that's everyone. That's one person's philosophy. I mean, if he's concerned, Ledyard's going to get a return here, probably from about their 35-yard line, from the Griswold 35-yard line. So,
but yeah, with the timeout there, it's a little bit of a risk reward.
And then now, get a block punt. It looks like they fell on it in the end zone. It's going to be a score, I think. Actually, it's a safety. So Griswold recovered.
So, the block punt does bring up a safety, which takes the score with 31 seconds left in the first half. Ledyard Colonels 30, Griswold Wolverines 0. But what I was going to say is with the timeout there, it was possibly a risk reward because Griswold gets to use your timeout to also talk about what they may want to do or anticipate from Ledyard.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And they had 10 guys up, and you have to assume that they're coming. If they're calling a timeout, they're coming to block it. They're not just setting up a return in the situation.
Right. But it's not like Griswold didn't know that was coming.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. They had to anticipate that. What do you a couple things you can run on delayed cadence or something along those lines. There's even been games and situations like this where it's a closer game, where to avoid that from happening, you give a team a safety so you can get a free kick out of your side of the field. But it's a situation, and I can tell you guys a good story as we go on through the day. A perfect situation I'll talk about it during halftime. But Griswold now has a free kick coming out of their 20-yard line. For those of you that are out there, the free kick, this is live, just like a kickoff. But you have the option of either kicking off of a tee or punting. You see it in the NFL and even college, most times they are punting because of the amount of hang time that you can put on a punt as opposed to a kickoff at this level.
Right, hoping that you can get some defenders down there to make the tackle. So there's number 7, James Green, once again coming around the outside. He's coming down the sideline. He cuts back to the middle. He's past the 10, past the 5. There's a flag on the play. And that's probably going to be celebration.
This may come back. I don't know the rule, but this is before he was in the end zone.
58 yards,
and
James
he stuck his finger in the air. So you have a taunting penalty. This very much could come back. And where the flag is thrown at the 4-yard line, 3-yard line is where the taunt took place. So it's going to be a spot foul, I think.
Right.
I don't think you're going to look at a touchdown here. I think this is going to come back. And again, this is a good learning lesson for Ledyard. I mean, he's a great return, but, play the game with class, do the right thing. He's probably telling him that it's going to come back. I'm thinking.
Well, you used the word that I was thinking, and that's exactly class.
Yep.
Because that you're going into the end zone. You were already 30 points ahead before we even go into halftime. And then you're going to raise your fist in the air as you go into the end zone.
Act like, it's the saying, act like you've been there before, right? So,
yeah, that's not how you play the game of football right there.
So, let's see. You got unsportsmanlike, which we know. Touchdown. Looks like the touchdown is waved off.
Yep, the touchdown will come off the board.
Oh no, the touchdown is good. I'm sorry. So the touchdown is good. Looks like they may be taking
penalty will be added
the penalty
to the kickoff.
Yeah.
Kickoff, right.
So I know there's I don't know which level it is, John, and
Jonah Eddy,
I don't study the rule books
after.
anymore, but where if the penalty happens, if the taunting happens prior to the touchdown comes off and it's a dead ball foul from the spot.
And the kick is good.
Right, well, that's what I was saying. With an unsportsmanlike conduct, because that penalty was thrown, like you said, before he came into the end zone. The flag was at the 4. It was definitely as he was crossing the 5 that the hand came in the air.
And it's, hey, the old philosophy, still got to stop him.
You do. And the extra point was good. That brings your score up with 13 clicks left on the clock here in the first half. Ledyard Colonels 37, Griswold Wolverines 0.
You have a score updated East Lyme. It is 21-6 East Lyme.
21-6.
I know one of the things Coach Bagos and Ledyard, and, speaking through Sean, I actually grew up with Coach Bagos. He was like a big brother to me. They have a young team out there as well. They had a few kids out with injury, but, the whole league is going to experience a little bit of a youth movement. Killingly may not experience as much. When you have Jack Sharp running in the backfield for Killingly, he's a 2,000-yard rusher. And he's just a beast. And, he's probably one of the best backs in the state. That kind of will help you with some youth, but they do have some experience on their line. But for the most part, a lot of towns are going to see a lot of schools in the area experiencing a youth movement.
Right. That's not going to be unique to any school here in Connecticut.
Correct. Now, see here what you have kids outside the 5-yard line on kickoffs, and my understanding is that they're supposed to all be on the inside. So they just had a fair catch here.
Right, so there was a fair catch made by Griswold at the 30-yard line. It'll be first down and 10.
Wolverines will begin first and 10 at the 30.
Yeah, so the way that it works is you can't have your foot on. You have to be inside that 5-yard box on kickoffs now, not on the line and back. That might just be a small oversight by the officials, but that's one of the new kickoff rules that was put in a few years back, that you cannot be outside of the 5-yard box whatsoever. They also made some changes to onside kicking.
Right, so you have a referee squad. I mean, just like the players, they haven't been out there calling games like the players have been playing games. And then you throw rule changes in there on top of them.
Halftime score, Colonels 37, Griswold 0.
And I mean, and again, some of these things are oversights. It happens, and it's it is what it is. That's not obviously not the reason the game is where it's at right now, but just some small things that I would make note of as a coach that I would be chirping in the official's ear from the sideline.
Oh, absolutely. You got those side judges, line judges there. So we are at halftime. Your score, Ledyard 37, Griswold 0. Welcome back to SNSN Radio. This is Jon Hardin along with Mike Neville and Ted Koziol, live from Bill Minnock's studio field here in Ledyard, Connecticut, in the Griswold Pride broadcast booth. Check out Griswold Pride at griswoldpride.org. So we're coming back into the second half. The score is Ledyard 37, Griswold 0. Mike Neville, what do we need to see going into the second half from the Griswold offense and the defense? It doesn't look like they've been able to get too much done on offense, and they haven't been able to stop.
John, you hit the nail on the coffin with that one. Both sides, offense and defense, have not been productive whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the Wolverines have not even thrown the ball. That's right. They haven't even got the ball in the air all game. And I know that's because they have a young quarterback, just a freshman at that. But honestly, try something different, And on defense, like I said, same thing. It hasn't been good either.
Yeah, so we got the freshman quarterback, and you definitely, like Ted and I were talking about in the first half, there's a mental aspect to the game as well as the physical, and you don't want him to lose confidence. Plus, it does look like Griswold's going to have to do something different here in the second half, show something different to Ledyard. Maybe even open up the offense a little bit and maybe start to get that air attack out there. Because Ledyard's been pretty successful in stopping our running game. We haven't been able to get up the middle or to the outside for much more than, 5 yards at the most.
Absolutely, John. And, it's like Ledyard almost knows what's going to happen. They know that the Wolverines are going to run the ball every single time. It's so predictable at this point. So, like you said, try something different. Get the wide receivers involved. Get the tight end involved instead of just making the running back do all the work. This is a team effort right now, and if the Wolverines want to at least put up a few points, they need to get the entire team involved and not just the running side of that.
Right, and then on that defensive side of the ball, Ledyard's been able to get to the outside and run down that sideline almost without contention.
Ledyard, if I'm being quite honest with you, it looks like they haven't really been trying that much. It's either that they're a very good team or the Wolverines just aren't doing that good today. And earlier on, I said that this is the first game of the season. And, there's a lot of pressure that comes with this game. I mean, look around. I know not everyone can see, but we have a packed stadium here at Ledyard. And this is the first high school game that these teams have played in well over a year since the obvious of COVID-19. So there's that added pressure that comes along with it. But after this game, I feel as if the Wolverines are really going to have to settle down. They're going to have to practice. They're going to have to hone their craft. And then maybe next game, they'll be better. But like I said, it's 37-0 right now. So this game's a loss right now, I would say.
Well, I tell you, there's talent on both sides of the ball. And we've seen sparks of it in the first half. But, we've never been able to, from the Griswold perspective, be able to sustain anything. And I don't want to say, that Ledyard is that much better of a football team than Griswold is because of the talent that both teams possess. But one of the things that has definitely separated the two teams has been the execution of the Colonels.
The execution is very important, and it looks like we're about to start the second half right now. So time will tell. I mean, we're going to find out in another few minutes or so if the Wolverines worked on anything in the locker room whatsoever. The crowd's ready. I'm ready. Here we go, John. Second half of Wolverine football.
Yeah, definitely. The crowd's getting warmed up for this kickoff to start off the second half. They've got their feet stomping on the bleachers. That's what you're hearing in the background. Ledyard will be receiving the kickoff here in the second half, so we'll be able to see the Ledyard offense and the Griswold defense and maybe some of those changes and adjustments that were made in the locker room at halftime.
And here come the Wolverines taking the field right now. I don't know about you, John, but it looks like they're running out with a sense of purpose. They don't want to get shut out in their first game. They got to put some points on the board like we've been saying this entire broadcast, whether that be through field goals, through safeties, touchdowns, obviously the ultimate goal, but just to get some points on the board and to give the crowd, give the team something to cheer for and look forward to.
Yeah, that's one of the things you said when the Wolverines were coming to the field. There was a little pep in their step. No one's hanging their head over there. It doesn't look like anybody's given up. And they're coming out here and they want to get something done because, you know, with an excess of 35-point lead going into the third quarter, we're going to go into a continuous clock situation. So if Griswold wants to stop that clock and preserve some time for them to score, they've got to do it now.
Well, John, we're about to find out right now as we are underway in the second half in just another few seconds.
I tell you what, the crowd is electric. High school football is back. We are live. Ledyard High School, Griswold Wolverines versus the Ledyard Colonels. Looks like there was a little bit of confusion on the kickoff. Looks like we may be having a do-over. No flags on the field that I can see.
Definitely an interesting play. I don't think I've ever seen quite the start to a second half where the kickoff isn't even good.
Well, hopefully that's not an indicator of what we're going to see from Griswold going into the second half. So we're going to retry the kickoff. Here we go. All the way back to the Ledyard 18. Cutting back up to the middle. Stopped, and it'll be first down and 10 Ledyard from their own 46-yard line.
Yeah, John, and a nice tackle by the Wolverines defense right there. You know, earlier on in the game, first and second half, in a situation like that, it seemed as if Ledyard was scoring every single time that they got the ball off the kickoff. But a big stop by the Wolverines defense might be good things to come. We'll see.
Right, that's the one thing is they've got to, like Ted was saying in the first half, you've got to get low and make those tackles.
And, you know, I wonder if the sun had something to do with the Wolverines not being successful on the field. Might have been a little too hot for them. The sun was in our eyes, John. I can say that. I don't know about the players, but now that the moon has come out, the sun has disappeared for the time being. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a push for the Wolverines.
We do have a little bit of a crescent moon out there. It is Friday night lights. Coming into the second half, Ledyard 37, Griswold 0. We do have a score from our neighbors in Plainfield. It's currently Plainfield 13, Bacon Academy 0.
Plainfield, the rivals for the Wolverines. Every Thanksgiving, the two face off.
Right. And there's a run up the middle
Jonah
for
Eddy
Ledyard by Jonah Eddy.
Tackled by number 1,
Pick up
Ethan
of about
Frazier.
6 yards. It'll be
on the play,
second down and 4, Ledyard.
Ethan Frazier doing almost a gymnast move right there with his legs up in the air. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that on a tackle before.
You never know what you're going to see in high school football. So a run up the middle is stopped by Griswold. We're going to focus on positive things. Another run up the middle.
It's almost like the Wolverines knew that was going to happen, that the ball was going to be on the ground. And I know we're very early on in this period, in this quarter, excuse me. But it seems as if, like we said earlier, that they're working more like a cohesive unit, that they're closing in on those gaps. And earlier on the first and second quarter, it seemed as if those gaps were very much so open. And that might have been a problem for the Wolverines.
Right, and that was number 64, Aiden Daniluk on that tackle, closing up that gap, but not before Ledyard did get enough yards for a first down. First and 10 Colonels from the Wolverine 44-yard line. And there goes Ledyard again to the outside, so something that we saw in the first half, sticking with it in the second half, but Griswold was ready
on the
for
play
it.
out of bounds, number 1, Ethan Frazier.
I know we've been talking about the Wolverines a lot, and not to take anything away from Ledyard. Ledyard's played a great game, whether it's been on the ground, in the air, on defense. They've really outmatched and outworked the Wolverines in every aspect of the game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the one thing. And like what we've been able to see, and we've mentioned it a couple of times, is the execution by these Ledyard Colonels, especially here in the first game of the regular season. you know, they're out there.
Ryan
They're getting on their
Outlaw on
blocks.
the
They're
carry.
making their tackles. They're making their
John
reads.
Duggan on the tackle
On the
for
defensive
Griswold.
side, they're making their
Gain of
offensive
1 on the play,
reads.
3rd and 1.
Just playing a very well-rounded ball game so far. We are now 3rd and 1 for Ledyard on the Griswold 35-yard line.
Wolverines looking to get this final stop.
There's a toss to the outside. Griswold was back there, tripped them up. We'll have to see
James
where they
Green on the
spot it.
carry. Tripped up in the backfield by number 1, Ethan Frazier.
Looks like he may have got back to the line of scrimmage.
No
That'll
gain
bring
on
up
the
a
play,
4th down and 1.
This is very different than the first and second quarter. The Wolverines get in the stop, get in the down, and stop in the play.
Right, definitely shoring up that defense on the outside. Those defensive backs, the corners and the safeties, they've got them playing up now with the 4th and 1 situation, but they've been able to seal on those outside. Ledyard up the middle.
And it's going to look like he got
On
that
the
one.
carry, Ryan Outlaw.
Yeah, that's going to be
Gain
enough for
4
a
on the
Ledyard
play.
first down. He got to the
Good
30-yard
for
line.
Colonels.
1st and 10.
First
Colonels.
down.
At this point, Ledyard just showing off how good they are, I guess you could say. Running the ball on each 4th down, going for the 2-point conversion the entire game, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people might say that that's poor sportsmanship, but if this team wants to learn, they got to do what you got to do.
They got to do it. And, you know, Griswold's got to be able to show that they can stop it. And right now, they haven't been able to do that. As Ledyard fights down to
Jackson
the
Colton on
15-yard
the
line.
carry. Tackled on the play by number 5, Ryan Palillo.
Yeah, John. 2 missed tackles by the Wolverines, which has been what's
That
been
play good for a
their
Colonels.
kryptonite, I guess you could
First
say,
down.
all game.
Right, so yeah, Griswold actually starting to get some penetration from those defenders, which is good to see. But like you said, we've got to get on those tackles. We've got to make those tackles, complete those tackles.
And honestly, if those tackles were completed earlier on the game, I think we'd see a very different game right now. I mean, the Wolverines still would be losing, but not this bad. 37-0 here in the 3rd quarter.
So rolled out, then kept it up the middle. That's just an outlaw. And he's going to score again for Ledyard. So right here in the 3rd quarter.
And the Wolverines' problems on defense still plaguing them in the second half, not being able to complete tackles and injuries. Looks like this is another player was injured. Looks like he got up. But injuries and poor defense have plagued the Wolverines this entire night.
Yeah, definitely. We've got defenders that are coming in and starting to make the plays, but we just have not been able to complete those tackles. And we've had multiple players in on
Jackson
tackles and
Colton
still
holding.
being unable to bring down the Ledyard runners. And Ledyard has been getting it done on the ground. There's a flag on the book.
Looks like a foul on Ledyard.
It will be against Ledyard. And the lights just came on here in the Griswold Pride broadcast booth.
John, we can actually see what we're doing now.
Flag on the play.
If it's not the sun, it was the
Delay
lack
game,
of sun.
Ledyard.
But Ledyard lining up for the extra point.
And the
And
point
it's no
after is
good.
no good.
Wide right.
Colonels take a
So with
43-0 lead with
5:57 left here in the
5:57
third
to
quarter.
play
Your
here in the
score,
3rd quarter.
Ledyard 43, Griswold 0. So Ledyard with a sustained drive to open up the 3rd quarter here. Takes it all the way down for a Ledyard touchdown. So this will be the first time that Griswold's been able to touch the ball here in the second half. Let's see what they do on offense. Are they going to spread it out, or are they going to stick with what they had in the first half?
Well, we're about to find out right now, but their defense was a little bit better than the first half. I think we can agree on that. It seemed as if early on they were trying to close in those gaps, like I mentioned. Let's see what they're going to do on offense. Like we've been saying the whole game, throw the ball maybe, try something different out. Because if they run if they run the ball right off the bat, Ledyard's going to know that's coming, and it's going to be the same result. It's going to be Ledyard hitting the Wolverines like a Mack truck.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. But, like you said, it definitely looks like the defense made some necessary adjustments at the line and at the defensive end and defensive back positions. Let's see if those same types of changes were made to the offense.
The Wolverines living on a prayer right now. No pun intended with Bon Jovi in the background.
Yeah, we do have Bon Jovi playing in the Stadium Public Address System right now. And here comes the kickoff. Looks like there may have been a late fair catch made by Griswold by number 11, Josh Turner. So it will be first down and 10 Griswold from their own 12-yard line. 17-yard line. So, Mike, we're going to see it right here, this first play from the offensive line.
And, John, this is what we've been waiting on the last 30 or so minutes to see what the Wolverines can do on offense. Are they going to run the ball? Are they going to get it in the air? Who knows? But I'm telling you right now, I think that it would not hurt to get the ball in the air and just see what this young quarterback can do who's making his high school football debut.
Right, and it necessary, that might be something Ledyard's not expecting. If they go to the air on first down, that may be just the type of play that kind of sparks something and gets some momentum shift in the Griswold direction.
And we might see it right now. An extensive huddle. Quarterback throwing his teammates around.
There is a handoff going. Ooh.
Big tackle. Nice wrap-up by Ledyard's number 7.
Right, Ryan Palillo trying to break it to the outside, brought down by number 7, James Green. It'll be second down and 9, Griswold.
Griswold still running the ball.
So sticking to the ground game.
Another extensive huddle, though. They might be trying to do something different. Maybe get the ball to the outsides instead of going straight through.
Now, there was one thing when I played, sometimes, especially if you got into a tough situation, depending on what you saw with the defensive alignment, we would sometimes call 2 offensive plays in the huddle. And then depending on what we saw when we came to the line of scrimmage, determines what play we ran. But it does look like Griswold lost possession on that play. Returned by Ledyard for a Ledyard touchdown.
Number 33, Wyatt Crawford on the fumble recovery.
And, I think the pressure is really getting to our young quarterback here with Griswold. Like we said, it's his first game. But during practice this next coming week, we got a lot to work on. We got to work on our defense, our offense, try something different. Because let me tell you right now, the Wolverines aren't going to be able to win games with the ball on the ground, or else it's going to be a very long season.
It will be, and that was Wyatt Crawford for Ledyard on the fumble recovery brought back for the Ledyard touchdown.
Jonah Eddy on.
But this is a team game. There's 11 individuals on that field for either side. So, you've got the quarterback, you have the offensive line. They all need each other to get it done. And the extra point for Ledyard is good. With 3:46 left in the third quarter, your score, Ledyard 50, Griswold 0. So not really what we wanted to see or what we were expecting to see from the Griswold offense, especially with a loss of possession that ends up in a defensive touchdown for Ledyard.
Exactly, John. And, Ledyard's halfway to the century mark right now at 50 points scored. Wolverines still have yet to get any points on the board for their fans in attendance tonight. They've got to do something different, like we've been saying, because the run game isn't working at all. And I know a lot of these fans are frustrated. I've seen some Griswold fans start to leave the stadium already. So they got to do something different to keep these fans in the building.
We got to keep the fans here. the excitement here in the stadium, you know, I think everybody's glad just to have Connecticut high school football back. And, you know, that's kind of added to it. We've got the cheerleaders on the field. We have the bands in the stands. We have the fans in the stands with their cowboys and their air horns. And Griswold here to try again. Going to get the ball back from Ledyard on the kickoff.
And, John, you know, let me say, it's good to be back in the booth, too. I mean, it's been over a year since I've been back in the booth, and it feels good to be back. It's nice to get our hands on a box score again.
Right. Oh, misplay on the kickoff. Covered up by Josh Turner.
Josh Turner on the recovery.
And it will be first down and 10, Wolverines from their own 20-yard line.
It looks like there might have been a little bit of a late hit by one of the Ledyard players on a Wolverine, but it looks like the referees did not call it.
No, that was one thing that we started to see right before the end of the first half was a little bit of chippiness on both sides, which, you know, the coaches and the players themselves self-police because you don't want to get any stupid mistakes. Neither team wants to do that. But Griswold right now needs to focus on executing, moving the ball down, getting positive yardage. We still have yet to get in Ledyard territory. So handoff up the middle, met by 3 Colonels, almost about a step after they received the ball.
And
that was Liam Dravok with the carry.
The Wolverines automatically swallowed up, like we've been saying the entire game. Ledyard knows what's coming, and they're just going to keep on hammering the Wolverines' offense for the rest of the night.
Well, is it Ledyard knowing what's coming?
Second down and 10.
Or is it Ledyard just executing, being able to shove off the blocks, you know, from a defensive line standpoint, which does allow those linebackers and defensive backs to come in and make the tackle.
Right, John. And, you know, I don't think we've been giving Ledyard enough credit because they've been dominating this entire game. I mean, on offense and defense. Defenses look very good, and it's getting better progressively getting better. With another fumble recovery last possession. Looks like there might be a player
Number
down
30, Ben Lewis on the carry.
Slow to get up on that. But one of the things that you noticed on that play
11.
in particular is you saw the Griswold offensive line with no blue jerseys in front of them. They were all already behind them. And that was Tyler Scouron that was slow to get up, but he remains in the game. So third down and 11 for Griswold from their own 19-yard line. So that's
toss to number 11, Josh Turner.
Luke Cassidy on the field. He did take a little bit of a shot by number 24.
Tackled
Caleb
in the backfield for a loss of 3.
After the handoff. But once again, no flag was thrown.
And hopefully looks like the quarterback might be down.
Yeah, that's Luke Cassidy that's still on the field. Took a shot after the handoff by number 24.
Cassidy not moving.
Nope, the training staff out to attend to him. Yeah, absolutely. You hope that everyone's okay. We don't want injuries to anyone on either side of the ball. But with the tackle on that play, brings up a 4th and 14. So Griswold's offense, once again, still going in the opposite direction.
And it's been that way the whole game. They just keep getting pushed back. I don't know what they have to do, if they have to get their guys to push them forward, but something needs to change.
There definitely needs to be a change, and like we've seen, and you've said, and we've said the entire broadcast, is that the running game right now for Griswold has not produced any positive yardage. We probably have a net negative yardage on the game.
And Cassidy, back to him, still on the ground. And, you know, what's going to happen if he can't play? Because he's the only quarterback on the team, I believe, as of right now.
Well, we do have another quarterback on the roster. There is another quarterback, Chase Spurley, number 8. And then either way, Luke's going to have to take at least one play off before he re-enters the game. But like you said, we have yet to see him move on the field. So really hoping that there is nothing seriously wrong with Luke Cassidy right now. It does look like they're bringing out some Ledyard training staff out to the field.
And it looks like, I don't want to speculate, but it looks like we might be dealing with a head injury, which is never good, especially in football.
No, that's one of the things that you hope never happens. And, like you said, that's speculation at this point. We don't know the extent of what the actual injury is. But I would like to see movement from Mr. Cassidy. And we do see his foot moving.
Whatever is going on with him right now, he's in some serious pain. And like we just said, this is something that you never want to see in the game of football.
Athletics at Ledyard High School. Tomorrow,
looks like we got the backup
team will be at Griswold.
warming up right now
at 10 a.m.
Right. He is rolling over onto
JV
his back.
boys soccer will be playing at 10 a.m. at Fitch. Varsity boys soccer team will head up to Lyman Memorial for a 6:30 kickoff. A couple of home contests tomorrow. JV girls
But it
soccer
does look,
here at 9
depending
a.m.
on what the
against
injury
Stonington.
is, the training staff
Varsity girls will kick off at 11 o'clock at home
movements and
against
support of his
Plainfield
shoulders
tomorrow.
and neck as they did roll him over.
Volleyball, both in JV and varsity in action
But we
tomorrow.
are 56
They'll head up to
seconds away from
Cromwell,
the
10
end of the
o'clock
third
for the
quarter.
JV
It is
and
4th
11:30
and
for
14
the varsity.
and Griswold's got the ball at their own 16-yard line.
And looking ahead to next
I'm
week,
thinking this is
Monday,
probably going to be another
varsity
punt,
cross country
which will give
be
Ledyard
action
outstanding
on
field
Tuesday at Mohegan Park. Tuesday
Absolutely,
night, the
John.
boys
We're only at
about
the 15-yard line right now. I mean, the Wolverines kicker, punter, doesn't have the strongest leg. And with the speed that Ledyard has showed the entire night, it looks like it might even be another touchdown if Ledyard gets the ball.
Well, there's been some decent kicks and punts in the game. There's been some short. There's been some long. But being able to get pursuers down there and make the tackles has really been the difference on the kicking game for Griswold.
Absolutely, John. And it's either a hit or miss. They're either going to tackle him or he's going to break free. And what we've seen the entire game, if he breaks free, he's going to go all the way home and score a touchdown.
Well, that's what we've seen so far this game. But we did see from the Griswold defense earlier in the third quarter is that they've been able to seal up those ends and kind of close down that lane that Ledyard runners have been able to have almost free reign down the sideline.
And a lot of these guys have a lot of speed. I know one of the Ledyard coaches, an NFA great, Marcus Outlaw, who played at Boston College and at Carolina. I'm sure that he's taught these guys everything that they need to know in terms of speed. Oh, we got an ambulance coming on here, folks. Things do not look good.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an American ambulance coming onto the field. This is not a good sign for Griswold, not a good sign for Mr. Luke Cassidy. Really, hopefully that this is just extra precautions being taken to ensure his safety and health and that there's nothing too serious wrong with Mr. Cassidy right now. Ambulances on the field is something that you never want to see. I've seen it happen several times in my football career and in my public address announcing at the youth football level. But definitely never want to see an ambulance enter the field and take a player off.
Absolutely, John. And I've seen some crazy things myself. I'm a former rugby player. I've seen some crazy things on the pitch, and it's never a pleasant sight to see something like this. But I think that there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, Mr. Cassidy's so young. He's only a freshman. Hopefully this doesn't infect him for the rest of the season, potentially his career.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, depending on what the injury is, you never know what your future may hold. Personal story of mine, tore my medial collateral ligament and was out for the remainder of the season, and that was done on a field goal.
Oh, jeez. I've had a similar situation. I completely tore my ACL, my meniscus, and my MCL in a rugby match. Ultimately ended my rugby career, unfortunately. So I know how it is. Like we said, we don't know what Mr. Cassidy's dealing with right now. It appears to be a head injury, but we can't speculate, obviously.
But we definitely don't want to say anything that we can't prove or have heard. And hopefully this is just precautionary. Definitely it's serious that they're going to have to take him away, but hopefully he'll receive the medical attention and we'll get an update to his condition here shortly. I do see his parents on the field, his dad, Jeff Cassidy, walking onto the field right now. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen on the game, and weird things happen. Cleat gets caught up in the turf. I've seen that tear an ACL before. Actually, myself.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I have no meniscus in either knee now. If you can tear it, I've probably done it. And after my last knee surgery, I had my post-surgery checkup with the surgeon. And he said, I got good news and bad news. And I was like, okay, what's that? He goes, the good news is you only have 2 knee surgeries left.
Hey, well, that's not that bad.
He goes, the bad news is it's 2 knee replacements.
Oh.
He goes, I have nothing left to cut.
Too many, all the cadavers that were going to be there for you just decided to walk away, I guess. With myself, what they did with myself was they did a patella graft. So what they actually did was take my patella and somehow turn that into my new ACL. I don't exactly know how these geniuses do it, but that's what happened. And, I've never felt better. Well, that's a lie. I still feel terrible, but it's better than having no ACL at all.
No, I can tell you, but I think because of this, now I'm almost 50 years old now, but I think because of my knees, I'm a better meteorologist than what you're going to get on the normal local news show. Any changes in the barometric pressure, I'm on it.
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, in 2021 going on 2022, all things can happen, including better knees. So more power to you, John.
But yeah, no, it looks like they're, close to bringing Luke Cassidy onto the stretcher and into the ambulance, and hopefully we will get an update on his condition before the end of the ball game.
We got a police officer coming on the field now to see what's up. Talking to the father of Mr. Cassidy, it looks like.
Yep. So excellent response here by the Ledyard first responders. And I can tell you, as a veteran myself and being here in Ledyard, and I actually lived in Ledyard for some time when I first came back to Connecticut. It's got a very strong military community. And then the Ledyard Colonels, when they came out onto the field to start this game, they had the 13 flags to honor the 13 service members that perished in Afghanistan this week.
And, John, that was a very nice touch. I mean, especially with 9/11 right around the corner. 20th anniversary of 9/11 coming up tomorrow, which is hard to believe. I mean, I'm 22 right now. I was only 2 years of age when that whole situation happened. And I don't remember what happened right then and there. But as I aged, I grew more of an appreciation for what occurred. It was such a sad event, but what it did was make America stronger. And like you just said, that the town of Ledyard has a very strong military community, and that really showed here tonight.
Right, and bringing up September 11th, right before the national anthem at the start of the game, they did have a moment of silence in remembrance of the 20th anniversary.
And I can only imagine what kind of festivities and honorings they're going to do tomorrow in New York City.
So my hat's off to Ledyard and the class that they've shown here in the stadium in representing and honoring our service members. So it does look like Luke is up. He's going to help himself onto the stretcher. That is a good sign.
That's a lot of grit right there by a very young man.
That takes a lot. No ball player wants to stay on the field, and they certainly don't want to be carried off the field. And it just kind of shows the heart and the grit of Luke Cassidy to stand up and say, I'll get myself on the stretch. But we'll be getting back to Ledyard Griswold High School football as soon as we do have resumption in play after the ambulance leaves. Like we mentioned, there's 56 seconds left in the third quarter. The score is currently Ledyard 50, Griswold 0. It is 4th and 14, Wolverines from their own 16-yard line. I'm predicting punt, but that will definitely give Ledyard excellent field position.
Absolutely. I mean, like we said, Ledyard's been doing incredible with their ball movement the entire game. And to have that kind of field position is only going to give them more opportunities to score touchdowns, and to put some more points on the board.
All right. So one of the things, we've seen some positive improvements and some adjustments made by the Griswold defense here in the second half. We've had an extended delay here with the injury. There's definitely been some discussions with both teams on their sidelines during this break. Is Griswold going to come back, and be able to stop the Ledyard offense? They haven't been able to do it yet this game. Are we going to see it now?
And, with this injury to Cassidy, I feel as if it's going to give the Wolverines more of a sense of purpose. They want to take care of their fallen brother and make him proud. So whether that's more production on the offense or defense, that might have very well just lit a fire underneath this Wolverine team.
Oh, certainly. Whenever you see one of your brothers in arms go down, it just gives you just that much more fire in your belly to come out there.
Ambulance still in the middle of the field here.
Hey, Mike, can you give us a shot of the Griswold crowd
Let's see what
as
we
the
got.
ambulance with Luke exits the field?
A lot of fans in the stands, as you can see here.
Yeah, that's Ledyard. We should have some Griswold across on the other side.
Let's see. Good amount of folks making their way from Griswold, Connecticut, across the way.
So definitely looks like we are getting ready to play here in just moments. Everybody's starting to slowly make their way back onto the playing field. So we'll see as we go into the fourth quarter what Griswold does at the quarterback position. Are we going to see Chase Spurley out there?
I don't see him warming up as of right now. Looks like he might be hidden within the Wolverines bench.
But like you said, once again, Griswold with a very young team. Chase is also a freshman.
And looking at the Wolverines team right now, not a lot of big guys. Looks like some of them aren't even over 5'5". And what this Wolverines team is doing is they're in the rebuilding process. A lot of freshmen, but the good thing about that is that in 4 years' time, these guys are going to be studs out on the field.
Yeah, you've got freshmen and sophomore playing at the varsity level, because the sophomores missed their freshman season. So you've got 3 to 4 years of varsity experience. They're going to be battle hardened when they get up there to the junior and senior level.
Exactly, John. They're developing, but they're developing at the varsity level. When most guys come in There goes Mr. Cassidy leaving the field in the ambulance. A nice little clap from the Ledyard crowd.
Yep. And once again, we hope nothing is too seriously wrong with Luke Cassidy. And if we get an update on his condition, we will certainly let you know.
And we are finally once again resuming play here at Ledyard.
So Griswold with the punt. That's a decent punt. Goes past the 40-yard line, kind of dies at the 42.
And Ledyard won't even take a chance
Nope.
at returning that one.
It'll be downed at the 42. 1st and 10, Colonels. So nothing is broken. We did get an update on Luke Cassidy. Nothing is broken, and this is precautionary. There was an initial assessment done. They're taking him in for further assessment. But at this point, nothing is broken, and it is precautionary.
And that's the best news that I think we could have heard, John. I mean, you, me, both, the entire crowd. It was like there was almost a dead silence after that injury. Everyone on their toes. But it's good to hear that it's nothing too serious and that hopefully we'll be able to see Mr. Cassidy on the field once again very, very soon.
Absolutely. And we are done with the third quarter. We're going into the fourth quarter of this Ledyard Griswold season opener. Your score, Ledyard 50, Griswold 0. It will be 1st and 10 Colonels.
Let me hear your totals.
43 as soon as we resume play.
John, we got the Ledyard and Griswold faithful singing the song of Neil Diamond himself, Sweet Caroline, a Fenway staple and a New England staple, if that.
Right. I'm telling you, I took my oldest son to Fenway Park. He's a Red Sox fan. And I took him to his first Red Sox game at Fenway Park. It was Red Sox Rangers because, of course, Dad being the Texan and the home team fan, we went and watched them. And holy cow, you know, Fenway's a small ballpark, but when this song comes on, that place gets loud.
Right, it explodes. It looks like it sounds like you might be in Copley Square or something like that. It's amazing the kind of chemistry that they have, the fans with their players, as we resume play here in Ledyard.
Interesting. It looked like the tackles took off before the snap, but I guess it didn't happen. There's no flags on the play. But Griswold with a defensive stop at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
And John, despite allowing a touchdown early on in the third quarter, it looks like they have gotten a lot better. I mean, the defense is more on their toes. They're not as stiff, which is huge. So, like we said, this is a lost game, but hopefully next game they'll have the defense that they need to attack.
Right, this game, I don't think anybody's going to say that Griswold's going to come back in this game. But you play till the final whistle, and that's what the Wolverines are doing.
Jacob Hamill.
That first stop at the line was done by number 55, Tyler Scalron. That tackle was from the defensive end, number 86, Andrew Hardin.
It's a nice wrap-up job by Hardin, getting the job done.
So definitely the Griswold defense coming in strong here on this possession. There's a toss to the right. The ball's loose.
Fumble on the play. Recovered by Griswold, number 88, Jacob Hamill.
And, you know, John, that might be the Wolverines' best chance to score. This is the first time that we've seen them over the Big L for Ledyard in this game. So this is the best field position that they've had all game.
No, so Griswold coming out tough, getting the turnover, getting the possession. It's 1st down and 10 Wolverines from the Colonel 49-yard line.
And our new QB2 looks very pumping his guys up. He's looking to have a big drive for his brother Cassidy, and let's see what he's got.
Absolutely, the Griswold offense coming out here. New leader at the helm. We're in Colonel territory. What's going to happen?
The wind picking up a little bit in favor of the Wolverines. Maybe that'll help them.
Pass right off tackle. We've got positive yardage. We've got green field.
And the huge run for the Wolverines, the best that they've seen all
Jesse
night.
Costley on the carry.
Absolutely. Jesse
Tackled
Costley
by
on
number
that
25,
carry.
Miles
Gets the
Breakfast.
Griswold first down. It's 1st and 10 Griswold from the Ledyard 20-yard line.
Gain of 25 yards on the play. First down, Griswold.
And for these Griswold fans, the first real shot of offense that they've seen all night.
I tell you what, the intensity level in this stadium has picked up. And like you said, Mike, you may have hit the nail on the head with the injury to Luke Cassidy. The Wolverines are stepping it up. The ball's on the ground. It's loose.
And
Fumble on the
Wolverines
play.
recovered that one.
Recovered by Griswold.
That would have been not so good for the
Number
Wolverines
88,
if they lost
Jacob
that ball.
Hamill on the recovery.
Yeah, that would be exactly what Griswold did not want
Gain
to
of
have
a half
happen.
a yard on the play. Second down and 9.
But they did move the ball forward on the fumble. Not the way you want to do it, but it's 2nd and 9, Griswold. They're getting deeper and deeper into Ledyard territory.
And it kind of shows how this night has been going. A couple bang plays here throughout the night, whether it's usually aids Ledyard, but this time helping out the Wolverines.
Right, there's definitely a different sense of purpose with this Griswold offense right now as they continue to move the ball forward. Looks like the ball went back onto the ground
There's a
again.
fumble on the play. Recovered by the Wolverines.
Recovered by
Wolverines.
Griswold once again. That
On
was
the
number
carry was
88,
number 30,
Jacob
Ben
Hamill.
Lewis.
It's
Recovering
it's
the fumble,
usually
number 88,
fool me
Jacob
once,
Hamill.
and you're
Gain
not
of
going to fool me
5 on the
twice. But it
play.
looks like the
Third
Wolverines
down.
just fooled them twice. Back-to-back fumble recoveries in the forward direction, something I've never seen before. So looks like the Wolverines got luck on their side for the first time in this game.
Right, I don't want to see any holy roller plays out here tonight, but Griswold's really got to get their handle on that ball. We've escaped danger twice now.
Still 3rd and 5 with 5 yards to go. Looking to get that first down.
So another handoff going to the outside.
A huge wrap up
Lewis on the
by the
carry.
Ledyard defense.
Lewis Benjamin on the
Tackled in the
carry.
backfield by number
But met
28, Felix
immediately
Beltray.
by Ledyard. That's going to move them
4th
back.
and 9 for Griswold.
4th and 9, Griswold.
And, let's see what Griswold wants to do here. Do they go for it? Do they try to go for a field goal? Do they punt it?
Well, I'm not seeing a punt happening from the 19-yard line, and it does look like the offense is going to try to get that 9 yards and keep this drive going.
Could this be the first time that we see the ball in the air? We're about to find out.
And it does. They're going to the air,
And
and they did.
Pass is
Touchdown,
complete to
Griswold, number 8,
Jacob Hamill.
Jacob Hamill.
Touchdown, Griswold.
First Griswold touchdown of the game happens with 6:12 remaining in the fourth quarter. Your score, Ledyard 50, Griswold 6.
And John, I've been saying it all game. Get the ball in the air. If it hasn't worked for you one way, do it another way. And what do you know? The first time that we see Griswold take it to the air in this game, they score a touchdown. It's a weird game, and it's strange how these things work. But that might be something that the Wolverines need to do more and more in the future.
Hey, Mike, I'll give it to you. You have been calling for the pass this whole ball game, and they did. They go to the air, and they score their first touchdown of the game. And they went for a 4th and 9 deep in Ledyard territory. So rolling the dice, gambling, and it paid off for them.
And it looks like they're going to go for 2 points here. Looks like it's going to be a throw again, or no, it's a
Ball's
handoff.
on the ground, picked up by Griswold. Going to the outside, breaking a tackle, goes into the end zone.
And the 2-point
Number
conversion
30,
is good.
Lewis Benjamin picks up the
Number
2-point
30, Ben
conversion
Lewis
for
picking up the
Griswold.
fumble and scoring.
And now we are just a couple
With
of clicks,
5:05
5
remaining,
minutes
it's
left in the
58
fourth
Colonels.
quarter. Your score, Colonels 50, Wolverines 8.
And, with that rush, a lot more intensity. Like I said, right when the injury happened, that the Wolverines are going to do whatever they can. I told you they're going to have a lot more intensity after that injury, and that's exactly what they just did.
Right, I tell you what, I am proud of that Griswold team for the way that they stepped up. They're down 50 points. They just lost their starting quarterback to injury in an ambulance. And they come out here and put the first touchdown of the game on the board.
And you know, John, that's what I call Griswold grit right there. The Wolverines doing whatever they can, even though they know this game's a lost game. I mean, it's 58 right now. They got some points on the board, which is what they've been trying to do since the very start of the game. So that's very good to see, and we're going to see what happens for the rest of the game.
Right, but that's the thing with football. During an individual game, each play, each possession is a battle, but the game's a war. And in the season, each game's a battle, and the season's the war, and Griswold's not showing any give up now. So, Mike, does Griswold kick it back to Ledyard, or maybe, hey, we show a little onside, get that ball back? We just proved to ourselves that we can score, we can do it. Or do they put it in the defense's hands to hold Ledyard with 3:30 left in the ballgame?
You know, if I were them right now, if I were the coach, I would say go for the onside kick. Try something new. I mean, they just tried something new and it worked out. Why not do something new right now? And it looks like they're going to go for a regular kick, but it would not hurt to go for an onside kick.
No, but hopefully we can get some defenders down there and hold Ledyard deep on their side of the field. And there's the kick. Picked up at the 20-yard line, moving forward, cutting to the outside, but there are white jerseys in his way. Tackle is made by number 18, Brendan Hopkins.
And that was a huge hit by Hawkins. Definitely what the Wolverines needed. Definitely what they've been trying to do all game. Just make those stops and stop the Ledyard progression.
I tell you what, these Wolverines are fired up.
And it's something that's good to see. I mean, that injury to Cassidy really lit a fire underneath them. And it looks like that they finally become disciplined. No more scraps in the game like we saw earlier. We saw 2 earlier. This is strictly business right now.
Right, it's going to be first down and 10. Ledyard from their own 34-yard line. 2 minutes left in the ball game. Looks like Ledyard's got a different individual under center. That's number 30, Ryan Taggart.
Almost a wrestling suplex like we'd see in WWE by number 64, I think that was, by the Wolverines. Getting the man down.
On the carry.
Right, so that was Miles Struckless on the carry.
Manzano. Gain of 5 on the play, second down.
So second down and 5 after the pickup of 5 yards for Ledyard. Lining up at the line of scrimmage. We've got 1:15 left in this ball game. But I tell you what, this has probably been the most exciting 5 minutes of football this whole evening.
And I don't know about you, John, but we got.
And Ledyard met at the line again.
You see, John, if they were playing like this the entire game, it would be a very different game. I feel as if the Wolverines take this intensity into next game, that they're going to be very, very successful.
Right, and that tackle was made. We got a team tackle, number 64, Aiden Danilek, and number 86, Andrew Hardin. So I tell you what, the Griswold's getting the white jerseys in there. They're making team tackles. They're getting these Ledyard runners back on the turf. Third down and 7, 30 seconds left.
And a huge scrum.
And nowhere to go for the Ledyard offense on that play.
Miles Struckless on the carry, no gain on the play.
Once again, Miles Struckless on the carry. 4th and 7, 10 seconds left.
Down.
That might have been the last play of the game with 3 seconds to go, like you said. And it looks like it will.
And you're right. That's the ball game. Your final score, Ledyard Colonels 50, Griswold Wolverines 8.
Ladies and gentlemen, your final score, Ledyard 50, Griswold 8.
I tell you what, Mike, You know, some people will see that score and think that Griswold just got wiped all over the floor. And I can tell you probably in the first half that's true, but Griswold came back in the second half and showed people what Wolverine football is all about. They toughened up. They scored their first touchdown, and they just held Ledyard on their side of the field for the first time this ballgame.
You know what, John, you said it perfectly. It seemed as if for the first and second quarter and even a little bit of the third, it looks like the pressure might have gotten to the Wolverine just a little bit. Like I said, this is their first game in over a year. And some of these guys, this is their first game ever. So I think what really happened was just the cobwebs need to be knocked off a little bit, and they need to learn how to play competitive football again. And I was very disappointed throughout most of the game, let's be honest. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers were. Although what the main takeaway is that this team can score points and that they can play defense. If they play like they did in the last quarter throughout the rest of the season, then I don't know. This Wolverine team might be a force to be reckoned with.
Their next home game is the following week.
So right here,
it's no longer
this is Jon Hardin, Mike Neville, Ted Koziol, and Mike Minarski signing off SNSN Radio from Bill Minarski here in Ledyard from the Griswold Pride broadcast booth. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.